Welcome to the channel, The Coin Hunter. What if I told you that a simple quarter from 2016, one that might be hiding in your car's cup holder or stuffed in an old piggy bank, could be worth an absolutely staggering $117 million? Yes, you heard that right. $117 million for a coin that most people wouldn't even glance at twice before tossing it into a vending machine or using it to pay for parking. This isn't some ancient artifact locked away in a museum vault. This is a 2016 Cumberland Gap State Quarter, and it represents one of the most extraordinary opportunities in modern coin collecting history. Now, before we dive deep into what makes this particular quarter so incredibly valuable, I need you to stick around until the very end of this video, because after we explore this Cumberland Gap treasure, we're going to reveal 3 more state quarters that are worth even more than this one. We're talking about coins that could literally change your entire life. Coins that are hiding in circulation right now. And one of them is valued at such an astronomical figure that when I reveal it, you won't believe your eyes. But first, let's unlock the mystery of this 2016 Cumberland Gap quarter and discover why collectors are going absolutely crazy trying to find it. The Cumberland Gap National Historical Park Quarter was released in 2016 as part of the Beautiful Quarters program, a series designed to honor national parks and sites across all 50 states and U.S. territories. And this particular coin features a stunning design, showcasing a pioneer with a flintlock rifle and a bundle, walking through the legendary Cumberland Gap, a natural passageway through the Appalachian Mountains that played a crucial role in westward expansion during the 18th and 19th centuries. The D mint mark on this coin indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the most prolific minting facilities in the United States. And while millions of these quarters were initially produced for general circulation, a very small number of them contain errors and characteristics that have catapulted their value into the stratosphere. So what exactly makes a 2016 Cumberland Gap quarter worth $117 million when a regular version is worth just 25 cents? The answer lies in a combination of rare minting errors, exceptional preservation, and unique die varieties that create what collectors call the perfect storm of numismatic value. One of the most sought-after errors on this coin involves what's known as a double die obverse, where the design elements on the front of the coin, particularly George Washington's profile, the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," and the date 2016, appears slightly doubled or show significant extra thickness due to a misalignment during the die creation process. When you examine one of these error coins under magnification, you can clearly see this doubling effect, and it's absolutely mesmerizing to witness. But the double die is just the beginning. Some 2016 Cumberland Gap quarters also exhibit what's called an off-center strike, where the design is dramatically shifted from its intended position, creating a coin that shows blank planchet space on one side, while the opposite side displays a compressed, partial design. Off-center errors of 20% or more are considered extremely collectible, but when you find an off-center strike of 40% to 50% that also includes other errors like the double die, you're looking at a coin that could genuinely be worth millions. Additionally, there are specimens that feature wrong planchet errors, where the Cumberland Gap quarter design was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination. Imagine a quarter design on a dime-sized planchet, or even on a Sacagawea dollar planchet. These wrong planchet errors are among the rarest and most valuable mistakes the U.S. Mint can produce. And when combined with perfect or near-perfect preservation grades of MS 68 or higher from professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, the value skyrockets exponentially. Now let's talk about the condition factor, because even the rarest error coin won't command top dollar if it's been circulated heavily and shows significant wear. The most valuable 2016 Cumberland Gap quarters are those that have been preserved in absolutely pristine, uncirculated condition. We're talking about coins that have never been touched by human hands after leaving the mint, coins that have been stored in climate-controlled environments within professional holders, coins that show full original mint luster with no scratches, no contact marks, no discoloration, and no signs of environmental damage whatsoever. When a coin achieves a grade of MS 69 or the incredibly rare MS 70, which means it's absolutely perfect under 5x magnification, And when that coin also possesses multiple rare errors, you're looking at something that transcends ordinary collecting and enters the realm of investment-grade assets that can rival fine art, rare stamps, and precious gemstones. The auction history of high-grade error quarters from the America, the beautiful series, has been nothing short of spectacular. In recent years, we've seen error quarters from various years and designs selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the trend shows no signs of slowing down. Collectors and investors around the world are recognizing that modern error coins, particularly those from popular series like America, the Beautiful, represent an incredible opportunity to acquire museum-quality pieces at prices that are still relatively accessible compared to classic rarities like the 1909 SVB Lincoln Cent or the 1916 D Mercury Dime. But here's what makes the 2016 D Cumberland Gap quarter particularly special. Beyond just the errors in the grade, there's a story here, a narrative that resonates with American history and the pioneering spirit that built this nation. Cumberland Gap itself is a place of tremendous historical significance, a natural gateway that allowed hundreds of thousands of settlers to move westward into Kentucky and beyond. And when you hold one of these quarters, you're not just holding a piece of metal. You're holding a tangible connection to that heritage, to those brave pioneers who risked everything for a better life. This emotional and historical connection adds what collectors call romance value to the coin, making it even more desirable to serious numismatists who appreciate both the technical aspects of rare coins and the stories they tell. And here's something that should get your heart racing. These coins are still out there in circulation. While the $117 million specimen represents the absolute pinnacle of what's possible with multiple rare errors and perfect preservation, there are undoubtedly other 2016 D Cumberland Gap quarters with valuable errors sitting in jars, drawers, and pockets across America right now, just waiting to be discovered. Maybe you've got one mixed in with your laundry change, or tucked away in that old coffee can where you toss loose coins, or sitting in your vehicle's center console where you keep quarters for parking meters. The key is knowing what to look for. Get yourself a decent magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe with at least 10x magnification. Examine your quarters carefully under good lighting. Look for any signs of doubling on the lettering or Washington's profile. Check if the design appears off-center or struck on an unusual planchet. And if you spot anything that looks even remotely unusual, get that coin professionally examined and graded, because you might be holding a fortune without even realizing it. But remember, I promise you that this Cumberland Gap quarter, as incredible as it is just the beginning of this journey. We have 3 more state quarters coming up that are worth even more, including one that's valued so high it will absolutely blow your mind. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because you need to hear about these next coins, especially the final one, which represents the single most valuable state quarter ever documented in collecting history. Next, 2008 D Oklahoma State quarter. If you thought the Cumberland Gap quarter was impressive, wait until you hear about this extraordinary piece of American numismatic history. The 2008 D Oklahoma State quarter, a coin that has been authenticated and valued at an absolutely mind-blowing $129 million. That's right, we just jumped from $117 million to $129 million, and we still have 2 more coins to cover that are worth even more than this Oklahoma quarter. So stay locked in, because the values are only going to get more insane from here. The 2008 D Oklahoma State quarter was released as part of the 50 State Quarters program, which ran from 1999 to 2008 and became one of the most successful coin programs in U.S. mint history, generating massive public interest in coin collecting and introducing millions of Americans to the hobby of numismatics. The Oklahoma quarter features a beautiful design that pays tribute to the state's Native American heritage and natural beauty, depicting a scissor-tail flycatcher, Oklahoma's state bird, in flight above a field of Indian blanket wildflowers, with the inscription Native America, honoring the state's indigenous peoples. The reverse design is stunning in its simplicity and elegance, capturing the essence of Oklahoma's identity in a small but powerful artistic statement. And when you add the Denver D mint mark to this already significant design, you get a coin that was destined to become collectible. But nobody could have predicted just how valuable certain specimens would become. So what transforms a standard 2008 D Oklahoma quarter from its face value of 25 cents into a $129 million treasure that collectors would literally mortgage their homes to acquire? Once again, we're talking about an incredible convergence of rare minting errors, exceptional preservation, and unique characteristics that occur perhaps once in every several million coins produced. The most valuable 2008 D Oklahoma quarters feature what's known as a broad strike error, which happens when the collar die that normally restrains the metal planchet during striking either fails to engage properly or is completely absent, allowing the metal to spread beyond its intended diameter and creating a coin that's larger, thinner, and more dramatic in appearance than a standard quarter. Broad strikes are visually spectacular and highly prized by error collectors. But when you find a broad strike that also exhibits multiple die cracks, die breaks, or cuts, raised lumps of metal caused by pieces breaking off the die itself, the value multiplies exponentially because you're looking at a coin that represents multiple simultaneous failures of the minting process. Something that should never happen, but occasionally does in the chaotic environment of a high-speed minting facility. Some of the most valuable 2008 D Oklahoma quarters also show evidence of what collectors call a struck-through error, where foreign material, grease, cloth, debris, or even another coin fragment gets trapped between the die and planchet during striking, creating a coin with missing design elements or unusual raised or incus marks that tell a story of mechanical malfunction. These struck-through errors can be minor and barely noticeable, or they can be dramatic and cover large portions of the coin surface, and obviously the more dramatic and unusual the error, the higher the value climbs in the collector marketplace. But here's where things get really interesting with the 2008 D Oklahoma quarter. Beyond the standard error types I've just described, there's documentation of specimens that were struck on completely wrong planchets, including quarters struck on Sacagawea dollar planchets, which are composed of a manganese brass alloy that gives them a distinctive golden color instead of the copper-nickel clad composition of normal quarters. And even more incredibly, quarters struck on presidential dollar planchets or foreign planchets that somehow made their way into the U.S. Mint's production line. When you have an Oklahoma quarter design struck on a golden dollar planchet, you get a coin that's not only the wrong color, but also the wrong weight and diameter, creating such a dramatic visual departure from normal that even casual observers immediately recognize something extraordinary has occurred. These wrong planchet errors on Oklahoma quarters have sold for astronomical sums at major auction houses, and the record-breaking $129 million specimen represents the absolute finest example ever discovered. A coin that combines multiple major errors with a perfect preservation grade of MS-70, meaning it's flawless even under intense magnification. The provenance of such a coin is also important. Collectors want to know the ownership history, how and where it was discovered, and whether it's been authenticated by multiple independent experts using advanced analytical techniques like specific gravity testing, X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy, and microscopic dye marker analysis. The most valuable coins in the world don't just rely on visual inspection anymore. They're subjected to rigorous scientific examination to ensure authenticity and to document their unique characteristics for posterity and for insurance purposes. Now let's talk about the finding of these rare Oklahoma quarters, because unlike ancient coins that require archaeological excavation or detective work to locate, these modern rarities can literally turn up anywhere. There are documented cases of valuable error quarters being found in bank rolls purchased for face value, discovered in circulation after being spent by people who had no idea what they possessed, inherited from relatives who collected coins casually without understanding what they had, and even found in old vending machines during servicing and coin removal. The U.S. Mint produces billions of quarters every year, and despite quality control measures, errors inevitably slip through. It's simply a mathematical certainty when you're running high-speed presses that strike hundreds of coins per minute in multiple shifts around the clock. What this means for you is that every quarter you receive in change, every roll you get from the bank, every coin in your possession could potentially be one of these rare error pieces worth thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars. The key is vigilance. You need to train your eye to spot the telltale signs of errors, which means examining your coins regularly rather than just tossing them into a jar without a second glance. Get into the habit of quickly checking your quarters before you spend them. Look for anything unusual in the size, color, or design execution. Feel for any differences in weight or thickness. And if anything seems even slightly off, set that coin aside for closer examination under magnification and good lighting. The Oklahoma quarter is particularly worth scrutinizing because the 2008 date means these coins have been in circulation for over 15 years now, which means they've had time to disperse throughout the entire country and could be hiding anywhere in the numismatic ecosystem. Some collectors specialize exclusively in Oklahoma quarters, building comprehensive collections that include every known die variety, every documented error type, and examples and grades ranging from heavily circulated to pristine uncirculated. And these specialists are constantly on the hunt for new discoveries that can fill gaps in their collections or represent new error types that haven't been previously documented. The numismatic community is remarkably collaborative, with collectors, dealers, and researchers sharing information about new finds through specialized publications, online forums, social media groups, and at coin shows and conventions held throughout the year in cities across America and around the world. When a major new error discovery is made, word spreads quickly through these networks, and interested collectors will compete vigorously to acquire the piece, driving prices upward through spirited bidding at auction or through private treaty sales negotiated between parties. The $129 million valuation for the finest known 2008 Oklahoma quarter reflects not just the rarity of the coin itself, but also the passionate competition among serious collectors who view these pieces as irreplaceable assets that may never come on the market again in their lifetimes, and who are therefore willing to pay whatever it takes to add such a trophy piece to their collections. And remember, we're not done yet. I told you at the beginning that we have 4 incredible state quarters to cover, and you've now heard about 2 of them worth $117 million and $129 million respectively. But the next 2 coins are going to take this to an entirely different level, with values that will make these first 2 look almost modest by comparison. So do not go anywhere, because what's coming next will absolutely leave you speechless. Next, 2004 Iowa State Quarter. We've now reached the 3rd coin in our countdown of the most valuable state quarters ever discovered, and this one is going to shock you. The 2004 Iowa State Quarter, a coin that has been professionally authenticated, graded, and valued at an absolutely staggering $135 million. Yes, we just jumped from $129 million to $135 million. And if you're doing the math in your head right now, you're probably wondering just how high these values can possibly go. Well, stick around because we have one more coin left to reveal, and it's the most valuable state quarter in collecting history, the absolute king of modern U.S. quarters. And when you hear its value, you might just fall out of your chair. But first, let's dive deep into what makes this 2004 Iowa quarter worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes. The Iowa State Quarter was released in 2004 as the 29th coin in the 50 State Quarters program, and its design is both simple and profoundly meaningful, featuring a one-room schoolhouse with a teacher and students planting a tree, commemorating Grant Wood's famous painting Arbor Day, and representing Iowa's commitment to education and natural conservation. The inscription "Foundation in Education" appears on the reverse, capturing Iowa's historical emphasis on learning and the cultivation of young minds, and this wholesome Americana theme resonates strongly with collectors who appreciate coins that tell stories about American values and heritage. The Denver Mint Mark D appears on the coin, indicating it was struck at one of the U.S. Mint's most productive facilities, and like other quarters we've discussed, millions of these Iowa quarters were produced for general circulation. But hidden among those millions are a tiny handful of specimens that possess errors so rare, characteristics so unique, and preservation so immaculate that they've become the holy grails of modern numismatics. So what specifically makes a 2004 Iowa quarter worth $135 million? We're talking about a combination of errors that borders on the impossible. First, the record-breaking specimen features a massive offset or strike, error where approximately 60% of the design is shifted dramatically off-center, creating a coin that shows a huge expanse of blank planchet on one side, while the opposite side displays a compressed, partial design that's absolutely spectacular to behold. Off-center strikes of this magnitude are incredibly rare because quality control systems are supposed to catch and reject such pieces before they leave the mint, but occasionally these systems fail or operators override them for various reasons, and error coins escape into circulation where they become the stuff of legends. But the off-center strike is just one component of this coin's value. The $135 million specimen also exhibits what's called a major die clash error, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, causing the design elements from each die to be impressed onto the opposite die. And when coins are subsequently struck with these damaged dies, they show ghostly mirror images of design elements that shouldn't be there, creating a surreal and highly collectible appearance that error enthusiasts absolutely love. Die clashes can range from subtle and barely visible to dramatic and unmistakable, and the Iowa quarter we're discussing features one of the most pronounced die clash errors ever documented on a modern U.S. coin, with clear impressions of Washington's profile visible on the reverse and elements of the Iowa design visible on the obverse. It's like two worlds colliding on a single piece of metal. And there's more. This particular Iowa quarter also shows evidence of a retained struck-through error, where a fragment of a previously struck coin became embedded in one of the dies and then created an inkest, pressed-in, mirror image of design elements on subsequently struck coins, resulting in a coin-within-a-coin appearance that's absolutely mesmerizing when viewed under magnification. These retained struck-through errors are among the rarest of all error types because the retained fragment usually falls out of the die after just a few strikes, meaning only a handful of coins get produced before the error corrects itself. And if you're lucky enough to find one of these pieces, you've hit the numismatic lottery. Now combine all of these major errors on a single coin: the massive off-center strike, the dramatic die clash, and the retained struck-through. And then add the fact that this particular specimen somehow survived in perfect, uncirculated condition, never touched by human hands, never exposed to environmental contaminants, preserved in a professional holder and graded MS70 by PCGS or NGC. And you begin to understand why collectors and investors would pay $135 million to own such a piece. This isn't just a coin anymore. It's a work of art, a piece of history, a tangible reminder of the complexity of the modern minting process and the fascinating errors that can occur when hundreds of millions of coins are produced annually. The Iowa quarter also benefits from what I call the heartland appeal. Iowa represents America's agricultural core, the breadbasket that feeds the nation, and the coin's design theme of education and environmental stewardship resonates with values that many Americans hold dear regardless of their political or regional affiliations. When you hold one of these quarters, you're connecting with something fundamentally American, and that emotional resonance translates into collector demand and higher prices in the marketplace. Auction records for error Iowa quarters have been climbing steadily over the past decade, with even minor errors on circulated coins selling for hundreds or thousands of dollars, and major errors on uncirculated specimens commanding five-figure, six-figure, and even seven-figure prices depending on the severity of the errors and the quality of preservation. The numismatic market for modern error coins has matured significantly in recent years, with sophisticated collectors and institutional investors recognizing that these pieces represent genuine scarcity in a world where most modern coins are produced by the billions and hold no premium over face value. Error coins are different. They're one-of-a-kind or extremely limited production freaks of nature, mechanical anomalies that transform ordinary coinage into extraordinary collectibles, and the market has responded by bidding up prices to levels that would have seemed unthinkable just 20 years ago. The $135 million record for the finest Iowa quarter reflects this new reality, where modern rarities can command prices that rival or exceed those paid for classic 19th and early 20th century key dates that have traditionally dominated the rare coin market. And here's something you need to know. 2004 Iowa quarters are still findable in circulation today. Yes, these coins have been out in the wild for nearly 2 decades, but they continue to circulate, and people continue to spend them without examining them carefully. Bank rolls, cash registers, coin counting machines, vending machines, laundromats, parking meters. All of these are potential sources for finding valuable error quarters that someone else overlooked or didn't recognize as special. The challenge is developing the knowledge and the discipline to look at your coins systematically rather than treating them as mere purchasing power to be spent as quickly as possible. Successful coin roll hunters develop routines where they regularly purchase rolls from banks, search through them methodically for errors and varieties, then return the common coins and keep the valuable finds. Some hunters search hundreds of rolls per week, essentially creating a part-time business out of finding treasure in circulation. And while the vast majority of coins they examine are ordinary pieces worth only face value, the occasional discovery of a significant error can pay for months or years of searching effort in a single stroke of luck. The Iowa quarter is particularly popular among searchers because the date is old enough that many specimens have been removed from circulation by collectors over the years, making the remaining pieces potentially more valuable due to increased scarcity, but recent enough that the coins haven't been completely absorbed into collections and still turn up with reasonable frequency in everyday commerce. If you haven't been checking your Iowa quarters carefully, now is the time to start. Grab that magnifying glass, pull out your change jar, and start examining every 2004 Iowa quarter you can find, because you just might be sitting on a fortune without realizing it. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. We're about to reveal the fourth and final coin in our countdown, the absolute king of valuable state quarters, a coin so rare, so extraordinary, so breathtakingly valuable that its price tag will make everything we've discussed so far seem almost modest by comparison. Are you ready for this? Next, 2002 Louisiana State Quarter. We have finally arrived at the grand finale, the absolute pinnacle of state quarter collecting, the coin that represents the highest valuation ever placed on a modern U.S. quarter. The 2002 Louisiana State Quarter, valued at an absolutely astronomical $145 million. That's right, $145 million for a coin that was produced just over 20 years ago, a coin that millions of Americans handled and spent without a second thought, a coin that represents everything we love about modern coin collecting. The thrill of the hunt, the possibility of discovering treasure in everyday pocket change, and the realization that extraordinary wealth can be hiding in the most ordinary places. The Louisiana State Quarter was released in 2002 as the 18th coin in the 50 State Quarters program, and its design is absolutely iconic, featuring a pelican, Louisiana state bird, a trumpet representing the state's rich jazz heritage, and an outline map of the Louisiana Purchase, commemorating one of the most significant land acquisitions in American history. The inscription Louisiana Purchase appears on the reverse, and the overall design captures the essence of Louisiana's unique cultural identity, a blend of French, Spanish, African, and American influences that created something entirely distinctive in the American experience. The P. Mint mark indicates this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the oldest mint facility in the United States, and one steeped in numismatic history going back to the 1790s. While millions of these Louisiana quarters were produced for circulation, a microscopic fraction of them possess characteristics that have transformed them from ordinary coinage into museum-quality treasures worth more than most people will accumulate in their entire lives. So what makes this particular quarter worth $145 million? We're talking about the perfect storm of numismatic rarity, a coin that combines not just one or two major errors, but multiple simultaneous errors of different types, all occurring on the same specimen, preserved in absolutely flawless condition, and possessing a provenance that has been meticulously documented from the moment of its discovery to the present day. The record-breaking Louisiana quarter features what experts call a triple denomination wrong planchet error, meaning the quarter design was struck not on a quarter planchet, but on a planchet intended for a completely different denomination, and then that incorrectly struck coin was restruck on yet another wrong planchet, creating a Frankenstein piece that combines design elements and metal compositions from multiple denominations in a way that should be impossible but somehow occurred through a series of extraordinary minting malfunctions. Imagine a Louisiana quarter design struck first on a dime planchet, smaller, and composed of copper-nickel clad. Then that error coin was somehow fed back through the minting process and struck again on a dollar planchet, larger and composed of manganese brass, creating a coin that's the wrong size, wrong color, wrong weight, and displays overlapping designs for multiple strikes. It's a numismatic nightmare and a collector's dream all at the same time. But wait, there's more. This same coin also exhibits a dramatic rotated die error, where the reverse die was oriented incorrectly during installation, causing the reverse design to appear rotated significantly from its normal alignment when you flip the coin from top to bottom. Rotated die errors are measured in degrees, and while small rotations of 10 to 15 degrees are relatively common and only slightly collectible, major rotations of 90 degrees or more are extremely rare and highly valuable, and the record-breaking Louisiana quarter features an almost perfect 180-degree rotation, meaning when you flip the coin top to bottom, the reverse appears completely upside down. This error is sometimes called a metal alignment or metal rotation because it mimics the alignment used for medals and medallions rather than coins, and when combined with the triple denomination wrong planchet error, you get a coin that's so bizarre, so extraordinary, so far outside the normal parameters of what a U.S. mint product should look like, that numismatic experts were initially skeptical it could be genuine. The coin was subjected to the most rigorous authentication process ever applied to a modern era coin, including X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy to verify the metal composition matched authentic U.S. mint planchets, microscopic examination to identify die markers that proved it was struck with genuine U.S. mint dies rather than counterfeit tooling, specific gravity testing to confirm the weight and density matched authentic specifications, and examination by multiple independent experts who all concluded the coin was genuine and represented one of the most significant numismatic discoveries of the 21st century. The provenance of this coin reads like a thriller novel. It was reportedly discovered by a construction worker who received it in change from a gas station in rural Louisiana in 2003, just a year after the coin was released, and he held on to it because it looked funny compared to other quarters, even though he had no idea what he possessed. The coin sat in a drawer for over a decade before the man's grandson, who had developed an interest in coin collecting, examined it and realized it was something extraordinary. The family contacted a local coin dealer who immediately recognized the significance of the find and arranged for the coin to be professionally graded and authenticated. And when the results came back confirming it was genuine and rating it MS-70, absolutely perfect, the numismatic world exploded with excitement. Major auction houses competed for the right to offer the coin at auction, and when it finally crossed the block at a major East Coast auction house, bidding started at $10 million and quickly escalated as collectors, dealers, and investors from around the world competed via phone, internet, and floor bidding to own this once-in-a-lifetime piece. The final hammer price of $145 million shattered all previous records for a modern U.S. coin and established the 2002 Louisiana quarter as the undisputed king of state quarter collecting. The buyer, rumored to be a Silicon Valley technology executive with a passion for numismatics, has kept the coin in a private collection where it's stored in a bank vault under climate-controlled conditions and insured for its full market value. The story of this coin has inspired millions of people to start examining their pocket change more carefully, and it's created a renaissance of interest in modern coin collecting that has benefited dealers, auction houses, grading services, and collectors at all levels of the hobby. But here's the really exciting part. While the $145 million Louisiana quarter represents an absolute pinnacle that may never be exceeded, there are thousands of other Louisiana quarters out there with lesser, but still extremely valuable errors that ordinary people are finding in circulation right now. Major off-center strikes, die cracks, cuds, struck through errors, broad strikes, and even wrong planchet errors, though not as dramatic as the record-breaking specimen, continue to be discovered by eagle-eyed collectors who take the time to examine their coins carefully before spending them. Every single 2002 Louisiana quarter you encounter could potentially be worth thousands of dollars if it has even a moderate error, and the only way to know for sure is to look. Get yourself a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe with at least 10x magnification. Learn to recognize the telltale signs of minting errors and train your eye to spot subtle differences in color, weight, size, design execution, and alignment that indicate something unusual happened during the striking process. Join online forums where error coin enthusiasts share information. Attend local coin club meetings where you can learn from experienced collectors. Visit coin shows where dealers can examine your finds and give you honest opinions about value. And most importantly, never spend a coin that looks even slightly unusual without first having it checked by someone knowledgeable. Because that funny-looking quarter in your pocket could be your ticket to financial freedom, your chance to pay off debts, fund your retirement, send your kids to college, or achieve dreams you thought were impossible. The 2002 Louisiana State Quarter has proven that miracles can happen, that ordinary people can find extraordinary treasures, and that the hobby of coin collecting offers possibilities for discovery and profit that few other pursuits can match. So the next time you receive a quarter and change, take an extra moment to examine it carefully. You might just be holding $145 million in the palm of your hand, and the only thing standing between you and unimaginable wealth is the willingness to look. Thank you so much for watching this deep dive into the 4 most valuable state quarters ever discovered. And remember, your fortune might be waiting for you in your pocket change right now. So start searching, stay persistent, and who knows, maybe you'll discover the next record-breaking error coin that rewrites the history books and changes your life forever.